Hello Scorpio, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements, looking at your connection between you and the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. We will be pulling for all three sides of this connection, so we'll be looking at your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we'll be looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section is looking at what is the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Friendly reminder that these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation, if anything, and leave what does not. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. Oh, I lied. That's not the last thing. The last thing, I forgot to mention this, is that this reading can be reversed. So if that's the case for you, that's totally fine and totally normal. Just take what resonates with you. All right, Scorpio, let's start here with your side of this connection to the person that you are dealing with. All right. Scorpio's energy, passion, I feel like the chemistry, if you will, in this connection is very strong. I feel like there's a very intense attraction here. It doesn't necessarily need to mean that there's a physical one, but definitely I feel like you're very drawn to this person, but then you have redacted. So I feel like for some reason you're holding back. There's an energy of not maybe being totally honest about how you feel or where you're at or what you want or what you need out of this. A lot of times we do that for a couple of reasons. We do it out of fear of maybe pushing the other person away. We have our own fears of vulnerability, or maybe we've been taught that it doesn't really matter. You know, we speak up and we're not really heard. So there might be some issues arising from that redacted energy, but let's see what this person has toward you. And I don't blame you for this. I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong. I'm sure you have your reasons. You know, it's very, very rarely are these readings as black and white as the energy can make them seem. Or the connections, excuse me, not the readings. Right, this person's energy towards Scorpio. What does this person have going on? This person's energy towards Scorpio. Boundaries with confusion. It's funny that I said it's not so black and white because all three of these cards are black and white. I guess this one's a little bit more gray. But, okay. I can take this in a couple of different ways. I feel like this person's energy is very confusing. I feel like that's for sure. It's almost as if there is kind of just in general a lack of clarity in this connection. I feel like you don't really know how this person really feels. I feel like they don't really know how you really feel. And I feel like that's created kind of this almost fear of maybe speaking up and being honest because there's this not really knowing where the other person stands. Now, this boundaries card, I'm really drawn to the imagery of this chain-linked fence. It's almost like this person has built a fence around their heart or around themselves, like meant to keep people out. And I feel like that's what might be the most confusing for you is there is obviously, like going back to this passion card, there's a very intense attraction here, and I don't feel like it's one-sided. But I feel like to you, you're wondering why this person won't let you in, or where they're at. And I feel like with this confusion card, I don't really know if this person knows. It's like they enjoy this connection for what you bring to the table, but it's like they struggle with really opening up and letting you in. Now, I don't know. It could just be, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to just keep going. We'll get clarity as we keep progressing here. Truth in between the connection between Scorpio and this person. Truth in this connection. What does Scorpio need to know about this connection? Friendship with divine timing. Okay. Ooh, that's challenging. I feel like you and this person have like a solid connection. And I feel like you're wanting more. Now, this doesn't mean necessarily that you guys are friends. Like you could be in a relationship for sure. But I feel like you're wanting more out of this, whether it's like a higher level commitment or more just like vulnerability, honesty from this person. I'm not quite sure, but I feel like you're wanting like, I don't know, taking things to the next level, I guess is what you desire here. This divine time card is interesting because divine time to me kind of goes hand in hand with like divine protection. And a lot of times when things aren't working out the way that we want them to, especially in our relationships, it's often because we're being protected from like what would it work or what would it work at this time. But that can be really frustrating for us because we don't understand why we can't have what we deserve and desire. So we have a tendency, because the first way that we view any situation is typically through the lens of our fears, doubts, and insecurities. So instead of looking at it from this perspective of like, you know, everything's going to work out in divine time, everything's always working out for my highest good, we have this tendency of jumping straight to I'm not good enough for love, or there's something wrong with me, or my insecurities are correct. Like this person sees that I'm not worth it or not valuable or whatever the case is, which is very, very rarely. I would almost go as far as to say almost never. Really what's happening or what's going on. It's just that, again, when there is a lack of clarity and like communication and a connection, both people are going to kind of try to read into the other person, figure out where they're at, what they're feeling, what they're thinking, and it creates a lot of confusion on both sides. Because if, again, the first way we view every single situation is through the lens of our, fear, doubt, and insecurity, then both people are kind of expecting the worst or seeing things through that insecure lens. And if we act on that projection, a lot of times we might sabotage a connection before we even really get a chance to experience it. So I don't know. There's a lot going on here. Let's move a little bit further into this. I want to go back, Scorpio, to your side. You have redacted with passion. Scorpio's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Yeah, there's... Oh, wait. No, Ace of Cups in reverse. So, yeah, you're not being totally honest about where you're at and how you feel here, Scorpio. It's like maybe you're waiting on them, or you're trying to get clear on where they're at. And I get that for sure. I also see this as if this connection isn't coming together in the way that you deserve and desire, there's almost this part of you that thinks that it never will, or if you speak up about what it is that you need or what you want, you're gonna ruin it in some way. But I also feel that, I don't know, there's, what I've learned, and I know that this isn't easy, but what I've learned is that being radically honest about who you are and what you feel and what you want is scary. And yes, you do face fear of rejection or fear of somebody not reciprocating or whatever the case is. But putting yourself out there and really just going this is what I want, this is what I feel, this is where I'm coming from, that's all we can control, right? That essentially puts it in the hands of the other person. And I've learned that we really only scare away or push away people. When we push away people with our feelings or with our honesty or our truth, we're really actually pushing away the wrong people, because the right people will not be afraid to won't be afraid of how you feel, or won't see that as an issue, or see it as a problem in some way. But it's almost like this energy of like, I'll take what I can get from this person, because I do feel like there is kind of this, I feel like there's a foundation, like this person, you and this person have a connection already. Like, I don't feel like this is, and I feel like you don't want to ruin that, but you also don't like where things are at. Like, you want them to go to that next level, but then there's this fear of being honest about how you feel, because it's like, well, what if they don't feel the same way? Or what if I say something too soon? Or what if they see that as weird? Or what if they see that, like, and there's so many what ifs, right? But I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Because sometimes we have to, put a lot of those fears aside and just be honest with ourselves and say, like, I'm only going to push away. If you speak your truth and you lose people, you are not losing anyone. You are aligning with the people who will listen to that truth and see you for who you are and value you for who you are. The worst thing that we can do in any of our relationships is pretend to be somebody that we're not, or pretend to feel a way that we don't. When we do that, we're kind of setting ourselves up for disappointment and heartbreak from the beginning, because we're basically telling the other person with our actions, like, I'm okay with how things are, even if we're not. This person's energy towards Scorpio. What does Scorpio need to know about this person's energy toward them? Immaturity. I feel like this person has a tendency to really play it safe. Oh my gosh, why are all these in reverse? In their relationships. It's like they like to keep things surface level. And I think that that's where, ooh, interesting. Because the Empress with the Queen of Cups, like, they definitely see this value in you. Now, you don't have to be a female, okay? Like, this, whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. We all have feminine and masculine energies within us. I just tend to kind of see the feminine energies more on this side, the masculine energies on this side, but that has literally nothing to do with gender. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so it's like they do see this value, but I feel like you push them into a level of depth that they're very uncomfortable with. It's almost like, again, because I will say, since I've kind of worked on my own emotional world, I've realized that I really have no interest in surface level connections anymore. Not saying that I won't, like, have acquaintances, but when it comes to, like, having friendships or the people that I pour into, like, I want there to be, like, a deeper connection, one that goes further than kind of those surface level kind of feelings or conversations. And I've learned through that a lot of people aren't comfortable with that, which I think just comes from a fear of facing kind of that intimacy or those feelings or emotions within them. And I think that what I've kind of learned is that when we show up in our vulnerability and our honesty, we are going to scare people who haven't met themselves there yet. And I think that might be what, either is happening in this connection, or there's, like, this fear of it happening. Or, like, I feel like you and this person have had a connection, and I feel like they obviously, they see you as this Empress. But, like, I feel at the same time, with the Page of Pentacles in reverse, it's like there's this, because the Page of Pentacles in reverse to me is kind of this energy of naive, like, immaturity, like, this need to grow a little bit. Now, there's always a need to grow, right? There's always room to grow. But sometimes, what we desire requires us to grow a little bit more than where we're at. So, in order to create healthy, deep, meaningful connections, we have to learn to meet ourselves at that emotional level to be able to connect with another human being at that level. And it kind of feels like that's something that this person really struggles with. It's like there's a lack of healing, a lack of growth, and almost this comfortability of keeping people at a distance, which I feel is where this chain linked fence is coming from. It's almost like they're more comfortable keeping people out, like keeping people away from them or at a distance, than they are holding people close or, like, letting people in, which is so common. But that makes it really hard for you when you want that depth. You want that emotional intimacy, that deeper connection that is possible here, especially because there is such an attraction. And I feel like that is a mutual thing. I don't feel like this is, like, an unreciprocated, one-sided kind of thing. I do feel as if you challenge this person. And I think that brings a lot of uncomfortability to their emotional world, and they don't really know how to handle that. So I feel like instead of dealing with it, and I feel like that's where the confusion comes from, instead of dealing with it and trying to address it, I feel like they go to their typical protection patterns, which is keep this person out. It's like danger, danger, emotional intimacy, keep this person at a distance, which, it's hard because there's nothing we can do about that. Except for, continue to show up as our authentic self. And again, you will push people away when you show up in your authenticity and in your truth, but you will never push away the people that are meant to be in your life. That is the best thing I've ever learned. For a long time, I tried to be what I thought other people needed me to be, or what I thought I needed to be liked or loved. And I learned that I was never actually loved for who I was. And it was very frustrating because even in my relationships, I would know people for 6 months, a year, and I would realize that they didn't actually like me for me. They liked me for this person I was pretending to be. And so I kind of threw that whole dynamic or that whole strategy out the window, and I started just showing up just radically authentic and as myself. And I know that a lot of people were like, this girl's insane. But then there were also people that were like, oh my gosh, I see you and I can meet you there. And those connections were so much deeper and more authentic and connection driven than any connections I've ever had in my life that were based on kind of that surface level pretending to be or feel a way that I'm not. And I think that that's what we have to challenge ourselves to do, is be unafraid to show up as ourselves and know that rejection is part of life. And it doesn't mean that people are rejecting you. Oftentimes what they're actually rejecting is the part of themselves that they feel ashamed of, that they aren't, when people aren't ready to be authentic or aren't willing to be vulnerable, they will shame people who are authentic and vulnerable because it makes them feel bad about themselves. Because it's well, why can that person just be so open about who they are and so honest about how they feel when I struggle to do that so much? And if there's a lack of self-awareness there, then they're going to just see it as projecting insecurity, which is going to come from this place of, this person is too much for me, or this person, feels too much, or they're too emotional, or whatever the case is. And it's no, I'm just as emotional as any other human being. I just know how to feel and process my emotions, right? And I think that it's hard because I've kind of learned that people who are a little bit more emotional tend to kind of be attracted to people who aren't. And it's really hard to create a balance in those kinds of connections. I hope this is making sense. Okay, truth of the connection between Scorpio and this person. The Hermit. So there's a need to shine a light on something going on here. The Hermit is always here to illuminate something, illuminate a perspective, illuminate a deeper truth of some sort. The Hierophant, the Hierophant is all about higher level perspective, wisdom. It can also be about traditional beliefs or traditional, but I don't necessarily see it as that. I feel like this is more about seeing things from a different perspective. I feel like Spirit is really pushing you into a different approach in your connections through how this connection is playing out. So this is interesting. I'm intrigued, Scorpio, at what's going on here. All right, overall theme of this reading for Scorpio, please. Overall theme of this reading for Scorpio. Someone better. You still miss me. Ignoring the pain. This changes the story. Whoa, I feel like this reading just took a left turn with these cards. Because then you have commitment. It's almost like... Oh, okay. So there might have been rejection here. Or a lack of reciprocation in some way. And I feel like maybe this person, they're in this search for someone that I feel like, it's okay. Sorry, hang on. They want a connection. They want a relationship. They obviously see you. It's like they see you as this marriage material, right? They see you as this empress. And I feel like that scares, for lack of a better term, the living shit out of them. And it's almost like they want something more surface level that doesn't challenge them as much. And that is a huge loss on their part, because it's almost like, well, so what you want is something inauthentic or something not as real. Because I feel like what you and this person could have is very real. And I feel like it's sad when people really push things like that kind of connection away, because it's like, yeah, there is a lot of potential there. But at the end of the day, I think we have to challenge ourselves to not look at it from this place of they're rejecting me or they're rejecting what I bring to the table, because I don't feel like that's what it is at all. I feel like they're pushing you away, because what they're actually rejecting is the work they would need to do on themselves to meet you where you're at. So it doesn't have anything to do with you. Like, the reason that they're keeping you out, the reason that they're pushing you away, and maybe they're even like, or have a history of other partners or whatever the case is, that are very surface level, and it feels like that. That's kind of like their type, which is the immaturity, right? It's like they have a tendency to be drawn more toward people that can, like, that are only where they're at, that have only met them on that surface level that they've met themselves. Now you, I feel like, have met yourself a little bit deeper, so you're looking for that deeper connection. You're looking for someone who has met themselves deeper, which actually means, and not to negate what this person brings to the table, but usually when you have met yourself on a deeper level, you have that self-awareness, you've done the healing, you've grown, you are capable of showing up in a relationship better than before, right? Because you're not so much looking for somebody to fill a void. You become whole yourself, and you're looking for someone to kind of complement that. And I feel like, I don't know, it's almost like this person is a little bit like afraid of the depth that you bring. And it's like they're afraid of how they feel about you. It's very interesting. Okay, let's keep going. Scorpio side of this connection. To the person they are dealing with. I want the cards to turn all the way around or hit the table. That's why I didn't take those. If they were supposed to come out, they will. 7 of Pentacles. It's like you were committed, or are committed to this. Like, I've been loyal. And it's like, there's the Page of Pentacles. Oh, upright. Yeah, no, that's definitely upright. They have it in reverse. You have it upright. You know what it feels like? It's like they're not ready for you in a way. It's like you bring so much to the table that they can't match. And instead of, and I feel like the reason that scares them is because it brings out their insecurities. It brings out what they feel that they lack within themselves. And it's not that they necessarily lack the potential, because I feel like they have that. It's they lack the work that needs to be done, or the healing, or whatever it is that allows them to be able to show up in that energy. And I feel like the way that they've acted in this connection, because again, they've kind of pushed you away. Maybe there was rejection. I'm not saying there was, but maybe there was, or like you feel very rejected by this person because of how they've been reacting or how they've been acting and treating you. But then that brings out your fears of like, well, then I must not be enough. And it's the opposite. I feel like actually, it's like, I'm going to say this and I'm going to elaborate on it. It's almost as if you're too much for them. And it's not that you are too much, and it's not that what you bring to the table is bad. And you should never, ever, ever, ever make yourself small or shrink yourself in order to make somebody else happy or fit into a relationship. Because what you're usually, being told when someone tells you or feels as if you're like too much is that like they aren't enough, right? That's what it comes. It's not that you're too much. It's that they're not enough, and that freaks them out. So instead of them being like, oh, I need to open up more, they go, oh, there must be something wrong with you. Projection of insecurities. It's the number one killer of relationships, because we have this tendency of, being very afraid of what somebody makes us feel. And when we don't know how to feel at a certain depth, we are going to find things wrong or reasons to push somebody away, because it is easier to do that than to address these things within ourselves. Now, on the flip side, like, because I feel like that's kind of where this person is coming from. On the flip side, when we start to feel very insecure by how somebody is showing up in a connection, if there is rejection or they are pushing us away, we will have the opposite reaction and we will start to chase it. And we will start to go, no, look, but I do bring so much to the table. Like, I'm so loyal, I'm so valuable, I'm so wonderful. And like, you are all of those things without a shadow of a doubt. And somebody who isn't recognizing that or valuing that, like, that's their loss, right? Like, you are valuable. You do bring a lot to the table. And the right people, the people who are meant to be in your life, will see that and will make you feel that way. And I can say that from experience with 100% certain. The people in your life will never make you feel like you are too much. They will make you feel like you are just enough. And they will match that energy, and they will match that emotional depth, and they will make you feel more seen than you've ever felt before. The people who are not ready for you will make you feel as if there's something wrong with you because you feel deeply, or because you desire deeper connection. And there's nothing wrong. It's the opposite. It's this person has healing and growth to do, right? So don't let their behavior or their the way that they act, same thing, the decisions that they make in this connection, don't let it affect how you feel about yourself or make you feel like you need to be less. You don't need to be less for anybody. Continue to show up as more. And I will say, I think that what I've learned is that sometimes in the beginning of connections, we'll pretend to be less. We'll shrink ourselves when we first meet someone. We don't want to scare them off, right? We don't want to be too much. And then, when we do start to come out like who we really are, then we kind of start to see someone ghosting us or pulling away. And it's like, oh, see, like, I'm too much, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of times I've learned that we save ourselves a lot of heartbreak. We just show up as we are from the get-go. Be authentic, be yourself, be honest, be passionate and weird and emotional. Be those things, because that's who you are, and those things are beautiful. And the people that see that are the people that deserve to stay. The people that don't are the people who are afraid to be those things themselves, and that's their loss. This person's energy towards Scorpio. I'm not saying this connection can't work, but I do feel like that's that perspective shift. This isn't that you're not enough. It's that you're exactly what I feel like this person desires, and then they don't feel good enough for it. So their actions make you feel like you're not enough. This person's energy towards Scorpio. Remember, we don't chase. We don't chase on this channel. We attract. And we do that by recognizing that nobody gets to determine our value. And we don't need to prove our value to anybody. Knowing your worth and acting as if you know your worth, see, is the exact way to attract the people that will see and know your worth. 5 of Pentacles. Star in reverse, a lack of healing. It's like they can't reach you. They can't reach you. And I wish that you could see it the way that the energy is presenting itself, because here's what I feel. Oh, Queen of Swords in reverse. Wow, this person's really closed off. The way that, I see it is it's like you kind of are up here and this person's like down here. And I'm not saying like you're better than, okay, that's not what this analogy is about, but it's like you've done this growth, you've done this healing, like you met yourself on a deeper level. You're here. This is where, you're capable of experiencing your emotional world. This person is here, right? This freaks them out. They don't like the insecurities that you bring out because of the energy that you bring, which means instead of facing those things and doing the healing and blah, 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 instead of doing the work, they want to make that, for their ego's sake, they need to make it look like this. They need to make it look or seem as if you are like this. So a lot of their behavior is coming from a place of like making you feel this way, as if you're not enough for them. But the it's like the actual energy is imbalanced this way. It's interesting because this person, Five of Pentacles, I don't feel like they want to lose you. I do feel like they value you as a person. And if this is a connection separation, I feel like there is a loss here. Like, I do feel that. But it's almost as if they don't, I think the most frustrating people to deal with in this world, and I say this because I used to be one of them, are the people that so obviously need to heal or like go to therapy or change or address like their insecurities or issues, but like will stand and double down on the fact that they don't. I think that those are the most frustrating people. And that's what this kind of feels like. It's like this lack of awareness, or a lack of emotional awareness or intelligence, or this ability to like see themselves in a clear light, which basically has them going, oh, it's not me, it's everyone else around me's fault. Like it's a victim mentality, which means that they're going to consistently be stuck in the lack of the love that they do truly deserve and desire. Because this Nine of Wands is them getting in their own way. And that has nothing to do with you. Is that fair? No, absolutely not. But it doesn't have anything to do with you. And it has all, because I pulled this Queen of Swords in reverse and I was like, man, this person's really closed off. And I feel like a lot of their actions can maybe come across as very cruel or cold, almost, because I feel like, you make them feel less than, they need to make you feel less than to feel better about themselves. That's unfortunate, right? Hurt people. That's the way that it always goes. But I think that the number one thing to take away from this is that you are not too much. You're not asking for too much when you're asking to be loved well, treated well, and, to be shown up for. And anyone who makes you feel like that is actually insecure about not being enough. It's not that you're too much. But I feel like there's more. We're going to hop on over to the extended. You have divine timing with friendship and the Hierophant. We're going to dive deeper into these messages, looking at the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Thank you so much, Scorpio, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And if it did, please like and drop a comment below. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. Bye, Scorpio.